I have songs that I put out that I wish I didn't put out, but it's okay. But I don't necessarily want to say which ones because I also don't want to hurt anyone's feelings.
For you, is there a perfect track that you've put out?
No, because if I produce something and someone tells me it's perfect, I'm going to be like, no, you're lying. I feel like my mom's going to watch this and find out through this interview.
Irene, thank you so much for being here today.
Hello.
Yeah, it's really lovely to have you because I was checking out your latest album, your EP, Eclipse, or
Right.
Eclipse. I don't know. My
Eclipse.
French is terrible.
I think it sounds kind of the same.
But
Eclipse.
I mean, it's quite an unusual sound. It's where you're singing in French, you're singing in English, you're singing in Mandarin Chinese as well on it. And I'm really curious about how you take such a multilingual approach to, your work.
I used to limit myself to only English. I think because the first singer-songwriters that I heard growing up were singing in English and French, but I just associated like mainstream music with English. But then, I don't know, as years passed, I started realizing that what felt more intuitive for me was to write in multiple languages because that's just how my brain works. I cannot stick to one language mentally. So then I figured might as well try that out with music because I'm definitely not the only one that works like that. I think there's a huge diaspora now of musicians coming up that sing in different languages. And I think it's really nice to be able to have people relate to you in that way.
What's the shift that's happened that's made it possible for you or for more singers to be able to do this?
Probably representation. The whole concept of third culture kids, kind of normalizing. I'm saying normalizing because it's always been around. It's just more visible now, but just people growing up in different cultures with their parents, leading, kind of being the bridge of different cultures.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And yourself, grew up also in a multicultural house because
exactly.
Yeah, your parents are from France and China, right?
So my father is German-Latvian, and my mother is Chinese, and they met in Paris, France, which is where I was born.
And then moved to China, and then you grew up for a number of years in China.
Yeah.
I think until your teens, right?
Until the end of high school.
Yeah.
I was pretty much half, which was really nice.
And then not just in China, also because, starting in Beijing and then moving to Shanghai, which, totally different culture between the two cities as well.
Yeah, I was trying to simplify the the autobiography for you, but yeah, it's definitely a different vibe between Beijing and Shanghai. I would say Shanghai is probably a bit more cosmopolitan due to, its past and it being a port city and having had so many influences from France, England, the US. So it was really nice to grow up there as well because I think it was probably one of the first places where I got to discover some hybrid-ish genres. For example, Shanghainese jazz, which is, it's Shanghainese jazz. It's like Chinese music, but with some Western sounds that just came from expats in the 20s and 30s that brought their jazz sound from the US. And yeah, I think in a way, like what I was saying before, there's kind of a wave of that kind of mindset coming up with diasporic musicians, just being more easygoing with mixing genres and languages. And I think it kind of echoes what I saw growing up in Shanghai.
And that's also, had an imprint on you as a musician as well, because, like you and I were talking about before, the music that's influenced you is also, a wide array and a combination of different cultures and styles.
Yeah.
And Francois Hardy was one that you mentioned, a French musician, a French singer who had a lot of influence for you.
Yeah.
But then also, Mandarin pop music from, 20, 30 years ago as well.
Yeah. And
so how is it that, you've tried to find a way to bring these different types of musics or styles of music together? I tend to think that most musicians probably
are impacted by what they listen to growing up. I come from a family that's really literary in the sense that they're all into books and history and culture. So then Françoise Hardy and also the kind of Mandarin pop that my mother listened to, and not just Françoise Hardy but also other like French singer-songwriters from the 60s in France. I think my parents really enjoyed that kind of music just because it was a really nice, it's a style. Those are two styles of music that put a lot of emphasis on lyricism and poetry, and they often make references to like famous classic literature. So I think that was a way for us to, it was how we enjoyed music at home, I guess. Because
what was it that made you actually jump in to start being a musician? I mean, was this something that you've had developing since you were a child, or was this later that you were like, you know what, I'm just going to go for it now?
I always loved music. So it was a really like continuous thing for me throughout my life. My two passions my whole life have been writing and music. I started playing the piano, the classical piano, as a lot of Chinese kids do, but I actually enjoyed it, so that was nice. But I started writing songs when I was like 12 years old. Started out with like writing my little like journal and poetry, and then realizing that, you can combine these two things, right? So I started writing some songs on the piano just for fun. And I don't know, it just kind of, what started out as a hobby just became like something I felt I had to pursue.
And the first EP that you put out was in 2022, I think?
It was Longing, it's called.
Was that something that came out of the pandemic and came out of lockdowns, or was that something that you had been working on for a number of years already at that point?
I mean, since nobody in my family is in like the field of music, or at the time I didn't know that many people that were in it, it was kind of my like starting point, kind of, because sometimes when you don't have a momentum to really release something or put out a product, you just have to kind of create it yourself. So Longing, I guess it was just a small collection of songs that I had written and recorded while kind of learning how to produce music and put out as a sort of starting point. I look back on it fondly, even though I'm not super proud of the production now, just because I feel like it's definitely what's gotten me where I am now. So, yeah.
And since then, you've had two other EPs and collections of songs that you've put out.
Yeah.
And what I'm wondering is, at what point was it that you started to see that you were actually growing an audience, that you were building, your TikTok following now is around 70,000 followers or so. Your Instagram, accounts are growing. Your social media is growing. You're performing at more gigs. You're here in town to perform at something this week, which we'll talk about also. But, I'm curious, where was it that you actually started to see your audience kind of, growing and developing along?
That's a really good question, because I started posting online when I was, I think, like 16, 17, mostly covers, just again, like dabbling in production and trying to make it a habit so I could improve. I think I started seeing some progress probably in 2023, not via social media, but more so through like real life things that kind of brought me some sort of, I guess, validation that I was doing something right.
Like what?
Like, I think a real turning point was during ADE when I participated in this, I applied and then got into this all-female producers like workshop sort of thing where...
Amsterdam dance event for the people who don't know, of course, yeah.
Amsterdam dance event, where they just taught us how music production for advertising works. And that really got me a foot in the door of that world, which I wasn't that, I never thought about it in the past, but a friend told me that I should try it out. And actually the songs that I co-produced in that workshop got placed in different ads.
Oh, cool.
And then from there on, I did some internships and such at music agencies, ad and music agencies, and then got to meet more people. And I don't know, I think that was definitely, I think it's an important thing to mention because I think it's what brought me a lot of confidence, especially since, I don't know, there aren't that many female producers that I know of. And that was one of the places where I saw like what the possibilities were.
I mean, it's interesting that that was just in 2023, because really we're talking like 2.5 years ago. It's not.
Yeah, I mean, it was ADE is, I think, October. So it was like October 2023. And since then, like, lots of things happened.
Yeah. And walk me through that, because now that, like really you're touring around as a musician now, whereas, the last time that you were actually living in Amsterdam was, around that same time, I think, or maybe just a little bit before, and you were studying for a master's degree in journalism at that point. So, I mean, it's kind of wildly different from the direction that you were headed in just before that event, right?
I think ADE, like that workshop happened probably in the same 2 weeks that I was graduating. So it was really just like immediately, okay, life just told me that it was going to take another turn. But I wouldn't say that things were necessarily going up at a very steady pace, because I was still not like very unclear as to where life was going to take me. But yeah, these experiences definitely, I think, maybe improve a lot as a producer and a musician. Yeah.
Well, up to that point, what were you doing in music? Were you playing like small clubs, house parties?
I did have a few gigs, not that many, but I was very much just focused on my craft and trying to find new venues to explore. And I think that music advertising was really interesting, because you get to explore different textures and influences that you wouldn't usually touch. So, yeah.
In what way? Like what?
I mean, like when you receive a briefing and they tell you like, oh, we want this sort of sound, and like they give you like a sonic mood board or something, and you're like, okay, like I'm going to try to make something that I personally wouldn't for my own music. So.
And does that sort of, does that take you in a direction? As a musician, does that also lead to your development as a musician? I mean, have any of these advertising sounds that you're putting together kind of get a hook in you and change you also in terms of what you enjoy and what you're putting out there?
I mean, sometimes you definitely get some stuff that you're like, oh, wait, I actually like this song. I'm going to explore this like niche, like whether it's a place or time period of music. But I think more than anything, it's sort of like probably in journalism as well, when you touch on different topics and you just feel like you become more well-rounded as a writer, because you're able to hook people in.
Is there sort of, do you feel like you miss the journalism at all, or was music really, or does music right now at least feel like that's really where you're supposed to be?
I think journalism helped me with the media strategy standpoints, and at some point when I was like an intern, for example, at these ads agencies, it was really useful, and it was really nice to be able to combine these like skill sets together. But I think nowadays I'm definitely more focused on music, even though writing is still a daily, like a practice for me. I try to put my journalism skills elsewhere, more in like the volunteering field.
Volunteering for what?
As in like, for example, the reason I went to China was for this NGO that proposes art classes for children with disabilities, and I was helping them out with communication as well as music production.
Yeah.
But the music production aspect was what I was commissioned for, whereas the communication aspect was really what I was doing, like
as a volunteer.
As a volunteer, yeah.
Yeah. What were you doing with this NGO? I mean, were you teaching the kids?
No, you need to be formed for that, I think. But the music aspect was just I had to produce a soundtrack for this 3D animation they made from these children's paintings.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's like a 3D installation that's at the exhibition right now.
Yeah.
So if you're in Changsha, China, you should check it out.
Okay. So when you were, talking about journalism and talking about writing like a practice, is that also the way that you approach your music as well? Is it something that, do you make a dedicated time every day that this is my music time. I'm working on my music today?
That would be ideal. No, I definitely do it regularly. Even when I'm unmotivated and uninspired, I tell myself I at least have to make music for content, so to speak. And it's a nice way to just even practice playing the piano or self-accompanying, even if it's not for my own music. But yeah, writing music is something that I do a lot. I just don't have a schedule for it.
So for you, what is the actual creative process that gets you from, kind of, maybe it's a hook that's in your head, or maybe it's a lyric that's in your head that gets you from that point to actually having a finished song?
Well, I'm probably going to give an answer that like every singer-songwriter gives ever. But journaling definitely helps a lot. The phone notepad that is forbidden for anyone else to see, because it's just like random lines that pop up in your head, and you would probably like look crazy if people were going through it. And just, I don't know, sitting in front of the piano, forcing yourself to, if you don't like have extra work. Definitely in the last period, for example, when I was like, for example, commissioned to do this like different music projects for other people, I was definitely starting to feel this like longing to do it for myself. So yeah, it's something that I realize when I'm not doing it.
Are you a good improviser?
Ooh, that's a hard question.
Yeah, I like hard questions.
For what? For jazz, for example?
For music in general, sure.
For writing, I think I'm a good composer. I'm a good writer. Improvising, like, I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm a good improviser.
Could you, if somebody just said, we need 30 minutes of random jazz stylings on the piano, but it can't sound like somebody else, go?
Ooh, that has never happened to me. I've had that with like classical, or they said like sensual music. That I have done. But I don't know, like I've been to like jam sessions, like jazz jam sessions. Like in Groningen, notably, there are some, I don't know why I looked at him, he's German.
It's closer to Germany.
It is, it's really close to Germany. Some jazz clubs there, very humbling.
You mean to get up there as an improviser? It's really humbling.
It's humbling to improvise and then hear like what other people have to offer.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I really want to get back into it, though. I think it's important in order to improve.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
so then also, if that's the creative process that kind of, gets you to a song, how, what's your process for actually getting to an album? Because I'm sure you have more songs than you have collections of EPs.
Yeah.
And so what is it for you that actually gets you to a point where you're like, okay, this goes with this, that goes with that?
Ideally, it would be waiting for a certain amount of time to be able to look back on like a given song or demo when your brain is not so oversaturated with like the work you put into it. One way that I'm trying to one way of working that I'm trying to follow is to find a common thread between some songs and see whether I can like tell a narrative. Kind of with like Eclipse, I realized a lot of songs were space themed without necessarily having done it on purpose. So yeah, I'm trying to see if that would work out, because I'm usually quite attached to everything I write. But then I think when you have like at least like a partner with you, like someone who's like producing the songs with you or helping you mix or master, I think that is really helpful also to have some kind of input. Is
there a song that you've put out that you kind of wish that you had a do-over?
I have songs that I put out that I wish I didn't put out, but it's okay.
like what? What's an example?
But it's not that I regret them necessarily. It's just that if someone were to listen to my music, I'd be like, don't necessarily start with that one,
Yeah. But is this because it was earlier work, or is this, something that was more recent that you're like, oh man,
I mean, there is music that I put out that I just wanted to kind of show what I could do instead of really and like liking it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't necessarily want to like say which ones because I also don't want to hurt anyone's feelings.
Well, in that same vein, because you were talking about how nice it was to get included on this panel for Amsterdam Dance Event. With your music, where is there that point of pride? What's that might be a point of pride for participation in the industry overall. But what's the point of pride for your music? Where was there a specific song that took off, or something that you finished that maybe you didn't think you would?
The initial point of pride was getting accepted into the program because they had to go through my portfolio, and I didn't think I was going to get in, but then I did, and I was like, oof, I have to work on this imposter syndrome thing. I think that was like the first wake-up call. And then second, I took some pride in how productive my team and I were in producing the songs, because the challenge was also because in advertising everything goes very fast, so they kind of put us in this situation where we had to finish a track based on a brief in like less than a day. So that was also a point of pride, I think, to feel like you're in your element and like things aren't as scary as they sound when you're really in it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I remember like walking home and just like listening to what we had made the same day and being like, this sounds like an actual like track for an ad. And funnily enough, we had like a feedback session from someone in the industry who was not based in the Netherlands, who came from outside, whose like least favorite tracks were the ones that my team and I made, but in the end, the only ones that got placements were ours. So it was kind of like a moment where I was also like, okay, so you also have to not rely so much on outside voices if you believe in something.
Is that related to the imposter syndrome also?
Yeah, because I think relying on external validation sometimes is like a lazy way for me to overcome imposter syndrome. Yeah.
And where's the imposter syndrome come from?
I think maybe I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. It might come from my dad, who's a huge perfectionist and he's really intolerant with like any mistake. But no, it's also the fact that I don't want to, I never want to like overestimate myself. So I think I tend to go the other extreme, where I'd rather see where progress can be done rather than being like, okay, the work is done.
Do you underestimate yourself?
In some cases, I think so. Based on experience.
Yeah. But like, you say in some cases, like what cases?
Well, I think it's more like experiences when I was younger. For example, if a certain like label wanted to work with me and had me kind of overthinking and wondering, okay, but would I be able to like release this project without their help? Like, would I be able to attract enough people without like some sort of like support that they're proposing, even if the deal that they're giving me is really crap? Like that, those kinds of moments where I'm really happy there were like well-intentioned people around me telling me like, no, like don't do it.
It's this, do you also undervalue yourself?
Well, I think that comes with being a freelancer, where you do have to like at least pretend you believe in what you're offering. So no.
Yeah. Definitely not. No.
But no, as an artist, you do have to undervalue yourself at the beginning when you don't have like a large portfolio in negotiations. I think the hardest is always at the beginning with that kind of business stuff.
Yeah. I think that idea of needing outside validation or seeking outside validation, it's also, maybe a little bit surprising to hear you mention that as well, because, you do work as a model. You have been working as a model for a number of years also. And, that's also another way of putting yourself out there and another way of kind of taking risks in some way. And so to hear, I know artists in general are always looking for, the positive feedback. And I know with my own work, if I get, one negative comment out of 1,000, I end up fixating on the one negative comment. What is that? Like, why are we both like that? Because I think it sounds like we're both like that.
Again, because you never want to feel like you're the smartest person in the room, right? That would mean you're not evolving.
I don't want to feel like I'm the smartest person in the room because I know I'm not.
Like you don't want to feel like you don't have any questions to ask the people you're in the same room with.
And how does that translate to your work? Yeah. Okay. So you've analyzed me. Let's look at you for a second. Then, so
you was like a royal you, like you.
The royal you. Is that also something for you and with your music? I mean, are you, someone who really, really needs to seek out those positive comments and draw them out?
With my own production? Yes, because I think I have a lot to learn still. And there are so many talented people around me that I just want to take in as much as I can from them.
Anything else?
But with others, like I'm trying to be more balanced with it. For example, with like songwriting, I think that is it's one of the bigger things that I can bring to the table, like composition, songwriting. That is a skill that I've gained a lot more confidence in the last few years. Production as well. I can produce my own stuff, but yeah, it's still something that I seek out. Not validation, feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a much gentler word. Feedback.
No, because if I produce something and someone tells me it's perfect, I'm going to be like, no, you're lying. You're lying. Yeah.
Is there, for you, is there a perfect track that you've put out?
No.
No, you don't feel like you've gotten one where you're like...
I think I just started to show my music world, like the actual style that I go for, because the previous EP that was like more 70s that I made like almost full analog with my friend was based on our common passion for 70s French music, but it just it felt more of an alter ego rather than like my pure self. And Eclipse, I think, is just like a little preface.
Yeah. But, here though, you're in Amsterdam, you're in town to actually do a few gigs this weekend, which will have already happened by the time people listen to this podcast. But what is it actually that you're here for at this point? Tell me, I'd love to know about it.
So I have a friend who is an architect and a painter called Josh. And he is Filipino. And he, I don't know how to, I feel kind of a lot of pressure to introduce his project, but it's for him. So he organized this exhibition on the theme of belonging. As not just as a Filipino immigrant, but also his cat, like his relationship between him and his cat, and how that theme is highlighted through that relationship. And he initially had a few paintings of him, his cat, his partner, and then created something bigger after kind of developing this project where he invited an anthropologist, a poet, and an archaeologist, I believe, to put up a panel to talk about the theme of belonging through different angles. And then for the closing events, he booked me and a DJ to give a listening session as well as a closing performance.
Do you two know each other from from before, like from the period when you
Yeah,
lived
we do
here?
know
Or?
each other. We do know each other.
Because, from everything that you're saying so far, it's the idea of belonging and, representation in general seems like something that's actually quite close to you personally.
Yeah.
And is that why you were picked to do this? And what do you intend to perform at this show that kind of demonstrates that?
I mean, we have been friends for I think 3 years now. Time really flies. And I think we always knew that someday we would collaborate, even though we never explicitly talked about it. It's just that we've always been very supportive of each other. And I think our friendship, especially, we've throughout the time that I've known him, we've had a lot of conversations, obviously, about belonging. Well, not obviously, but we've had a lot of conversations around that theme. Just because, and I think that's also going to be talked about at the panel, but one of the things that bring out a sense of belonging you have to a place or a culture or a time capsule is being removed from where you come from, so to speak. So
is that something that for you personally, do you feel like that's something that affects you? Is that something that impacts you or even that you struggle with from time to time?
Belonging? I think so, yeah. More so when I was younger because it was all new to me, and during my formative years I was more so impacted by my surroundings and what was projected onto me about whether or not I belonged, whereas now I think it's more about my own interpretation of whether or not I feel home somewhere.
So, the Netherlands is home to a large Turkish diaspora.
Right.
And there's a friend of mine who he's Turkish Dutch, born here, first generation. So all of his family is, his parents live here, but, their whole family is back in Turkey. And he has never, it took him a very long time to kind of figure out how to navigate what's the definition of home. And the idea of when he's in the Netherlands, he feels like he's not a Dutch person and not really treated like a Dutch person. And when he's in Turkey, they don't think of him as being a Turkish person. They think of him as a Dutch person. Is this something that, has been an issue for you, being someone who, is born in Paris to, like you said, a father from two different cultures, a mother from another culture, and then you're taken to Beijing and grow up in Beijing and grow up in Shanghai, and now you're back here, and so back in Europe, and so I'm wondering, how does that affect you and impact you as a person?
Well, I think I've kind of gone to a point where I had to set out some criteria in order to define whether some place feels like home for me, because I think it's very easy for people to feel anchored somewhere if they've grown up there, if their whole family's from there, but I think at this point, it's not necessarily a question that I dwell a lot on, but I would say that home generally for me are the places where I felt the largest range of emotions, where I have a place to stay. Sometimes it's as rudimentary as that, but literally I'm able to have my own cocoon. And yeah, that I just know well. So
does Paris feel like home for you?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of had to rediscover it as an adult when it came to the cultural life and people and stuff. But there is a sense of familiarity whenever I go there. But then you also kind of alluded to the sense of home that people, when it comes to people. And I think that, to be honest, when I was little, like a child, I didn't really feel that different from people around me, just because, I don't know, it felt very normal for me to be mixed and have parents from different cultures, that it just felt really natural for me to say oh, I'm just from all these places and I shouldn't have to choose. But I think it was more in middle and high school where I really had to consolidate these beliefs, because they were being challenged by a lot of people that didn't understand them necessarily. So
this was in Shanghai.
Yeah, I was in Shanghai.
Yeah.
But
did you feel sort of on an outside as you were there, or alienated in some way growing up there?
Well, to be completely honest, I would say that I've always felt quite welcome from the Chinese. I don't know if it's cultural, if there's more of like a community thing in the cultural values of Chinese people, but I've always been like told that, oh, okay, you're mixed, like you look different, but I think it was more maybe malicious from some Europeans while I was in Shanghai. And obviously when you're a teen, you're more sensitive to being different. So for a while I kind of felt like I had to choose, until I realized I literally don't. So yeah.
Is your family still there?
No, my family's now in Paris.
Your family's in Paris also?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you all come together?
After I graduated from high school, yeah.
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 And are you, do you ever travel back to Shanghai, or do you have family that's there, or, you must have friends that are still there?
Yeah, I was just there like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's also why why China feels like home is because the only people other than my parents that have seen me since I was a baby are in China. So, yeah, I have family in Beijing and close friends in Shanghai.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you said your parents, weren't really into music, or maybe they were in music, but they weren't like involved in music or in music production. And so who was around you as you were younger that kind of fostered that in you, or fostered the creative side of you?
Well, I would say that they have a creative vein because they really enjoy museums, documentary, just like absorbing the culture that's around them. And there was always, classical music playing. But I think, honestly, the internet is what gave me access to a lot of the pop culture that I got to know throughout my teens. I think, without the democratization that is the internet, I wouldn't know much. I still feel like I have to catch up on some things. And like, especially in movies, like.
Do you also have brothers and sisters as well?
I have a half brother.
Okay. That you grew up with?
Not really.
No. So you're sort of, kind of a little bit feeling like an only child as a kid. I would say it sometimes maybe happens for people who, have that focus as almost like an only child, or as an only child, where, their parents maybe project a little bit more about what they want their child to go into. Was that something that kind of you had to deal with as well?
My parents both had the experiences of their parents pressuring them to go in certain directions. So I think that they definitely tried to avoid doing that with me. Their main thing was just for me to study and have the resources to then be able to do what I want. I think what's more important for them is that I'm financially stable. And to be honest, given the context that they come from, I'm really grateful for how open-minded they've been.
What is the context that they came from? I mean, what was the kind of pressure that was put on them?
Simply put, both of them, had to struggle a lot to make a living, to come to France, to study really hard and find a way to make it all work. So then I guess it's not a given for them to then be supportive when I'm like, oh yeah, might go full freelancing with this music thing that you don't know much about, so that's what I'm grateful for.
Do you feel like your parents have your back as an artist?
Nowadays, yes. I feel like before, but they have more of this like tough love mentality where they will believe something once they see results, which I guess sort of motivated me, but also, I don't know, I was so focused on my craft that I tried not to care so much.
You tried
Yeah,
not to, or you
I
didn't?
tried.
Did it succeed?
Well, no, I feel like when you're really passionate about something, it's like you don't have a choice, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously, this is not the easiest route to take. Like, why would I torture myself if I, like, wasn't really into it? So,
you know, what was it that actually convinced them that going into music, you know, will work, that you'll be okay?
well, with my dad, it's so hard to tell because he's so stoic all the time. He's just happy I'm having a good time. My mother, I would say it was very progressive. I think the first signs that I saw from her were when I was starting to work at these agencies in Amsterdam, when I was starting to have music placements and making decent money. I think that's when she was starting to...
Kind of came around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say she was like not supportive either in the past, but I think she was more so worried because it's not a traditional like route to take career-wise.
Music?
Yeah.
No, it's
so
not.
I understand, you know, I totally empathize because there's also so much like generational and cultural gaps between us that I just really appreciate the way we were able to find middle grounds.
Where at what point for you was it also kind of where it stopped being scary? It must have been kind of scary for you at some point. You know, like
music?
am I really taking this leap and doing music? Not that journalism is like a great money paying profession to get into anymore either, but you know, I mean, there must have been a moment where you were like, am I really doing this?
Well, that was more recent, I think, because up until now, I've always had a sort of safe, like, financial zone to be in. In Amsterdam, it was quite rough because I was really, like, trying to hustle. I was still working at bars and stuff. But once I arrived in Paris, and that was also when things started taking off for me online, I had, like, a stable office job on the side that was like, okay, it's there in case like this is not going the way I want it to.
Yeah.
But now it is going the way I want it to, so I'm just like trying to go with the flow and enjoy it. Like,
what was the stable office job you were doing?
It was a communications job.
Yeah.
So that's where journalism comes in. Yay.
You know, it's so different being a musician than actually doing an office job, because I think, you know, especially when you're not touring with a band, for example, when you're just kind of out there and it's you, you know, it must not give you maybe the same, you know, sense of community that maybe other stage performers have, like performers who are in a cast or an ensemble. And, you know, is that something that has an impact on you, that you're kind of out there, it's you, it's your thing, you're on your own?
Moving around a lot. Like, I've moved almost every year since I was 17. Amsterdam was, I think, the place I stayed the longest.
Yeah.
I stayed like 2.5 years, I think. But yeah, the fact that I was moving around a lot kind of made it impossible to even imagine having like a band, because like, what am I going to pack them with me, you know?
Right.
But I've always been able to find community with musicians in the places I lived. For example, in Paris, I'm part of this collective of Asian musicians that all do their own projects, and most of them are solo. So we host events together, we meet up every month just to have dinner. So I think community hasn't been an issue with music, but it is definitely lonely when, you know, your closer circle isn't necessarily in that world. I mean, sometimes I think even in Amsterdam with my friends here that I studied with, for example, like they've taken such different paths from me that at the beginning I was a bit like, okay, I'm going to not have like a reference point and try to figure this out on my own. But it's not like I was really alone either, because you always find people similar to you if you really ride that wave, I think.
Yeah. Is that something that kind of, you know, is that something that dawns on you after a performance more, that, you know, the lights go out, show's over, you pack everything up and then you go home or to a hotel or wherever and it's just you?
It's happened, but it's not that heavy because I don't really dissociate it from the feeling of having had to move in general throughout my life. So I think it's just a truth that I've had to accept earlier on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is all the moving around difficult for relationships in general?
I think so. I think it's still something that I'm still learning a lot about relationships from that standpoint.
Because how old are you?
I just turned 25, actually.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, the pro is that you get to learn a lot early on about circumstantial relationships. And so then trying to find, the qualities that you look for in people and personalities that you might feel like are easier to keep in contact with. You might be able to figure out much earlier on if the bond that you have is based on something that both of you, on things that both of you stand on. So, yeah.
Are you in a relationship now?
I don't know. Yes.
Sort of. It's complicated.
Yeah.
Having moved around so much, what's the longest relationship that you've had?
Romantic relationship. I would say all of them have been around a year and a half.
Yeah. Are they all sort of magically coinciding with when you go to another city?
Not always. Not always. No, I think I'm a pretty hopeless romantic person. So, I've done the distance before.
Yeah.
So I'm glad at least that wasn't the problem, No, because also I very much, I wouldn't say normalized long distance relationships, but my parents have had to do distance when I was growing up. So I never saw that as a deal breaker with people.
Yeah.
As long as you have a light at the end of the tunnel, where you're going to see each other again. I don't think that long distance is something scary.
With your relationship, and now, you are traveling more as a musician and you are, bringing your show out there more often, or you're doing more sets and you're out there more. How do you share that as part of a relationship?
I think the fact that I travel a lot is something that is known very early on with people that I meet. So it's not necessarily something that I have to discuss with them. When it comes to sharing, see, that's why I was saying that long distance isn't something that I find I don't think it should be a deal breaker, because it's kind of the thing that you're doing when you're traveling a lot and sharing it with your partner through texts and calls.
Yeah.
But
you don't think it should be a deal breaker, but maybe the partners might, though, right?
Well, that's why I think there's probably someone out there that will share a similar lifestyle to you or accept that and support that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the sort of mishmash of cultures that you grew up with.
Yeah.
Just to recap really quickly, it was German and Latvian from your father.
Yeah.
Chinese from your mother.
Yeah.
French from where you were born.
Yeah.
Beijing, and then Shanghai.
Yeah.
Is there a food favorite?
Out
of all of those, because they're all very different, right? And also the food from Beijing is very different from say Cantonese food in Shanghai, right? So is there a food favorite?
It fluctuates so much, but I don't think it's even fair to compare Chinese cuisine to French or German, because it's so vast, and I think everyone can find something they like.
Yeah, so that's not really an answer.
Okay.
You're not going to offend Marcus just because he's German. It's okay. You don't have to say it's like schnitzel or something.
Schnitzel is nice as well.
It is. It is.
It's just not something that I would cook for myself on the regular. And Chinese food, I think, is definitely my comfort. Definitely.
Is there a region of Chinese food that's your comfort?
Well, growing up, it was Beijing because it's where I stayed. But nowadays, I'm very spicy. So maybe Sichuanese food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it really changes depending on the season, the mood. Like,
who cooked when you were growing up?
when I was growing up,
Mm-hmm.
I think it was mainly my mom and also the lady that lives with my grandma and takes care of her.
Yeah.
She has very memorable culinary skills. Anyone who's eaten food from her is like, oh my God. Like, you're visiting your grandma is like the lady there.
Are you bringing leftovers? Can I visit? Can I come with?
Yeah, literally. Like, so I don't even know if I can call it Beijing because it's her like signature.
What does she cook that was so good?
I was just there.
Did she cook for you?
Yeah, she's basically part of the family now.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't want to say cleaning lady, but
No.
she just lives
sort of
with
like a caretaker almost.
Yeah, we call it like an ai, which also means auntie in Chinese. She cooks very simple food, like, well, I would say Beijing food probably, like I don't know the names in English, but stuff that you would find at restaurants here as well, like soup noodles or like different types of eggs, dumplings, but she just makes them with she does it different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it that, I mean, is it sort of like, that's also for me, it's also like such a sign of home. Also is that, and we've had conversations with other people here too, that idea of comfort food,
Yeah.
And, that food that you had at certain points in your life is also kind of very indicative of what feels like home for you as well. You've got me like so curious about the food that she makes though. You've got me so curious about it.
But I'm also lucky in the sense that there's so much, so many Asian restaurants now in Europe. Like it's really not hard to find a piece of home when I'm looking for it, at least in a big city.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit more difficult when I was younger, but now I'm like, there's so much of it.
And it, you were talking about traveling around so much. How much is it that you actually travel now for the shows that you perform?
How much is it? Well,
yeah.
Now at least for the first half of this year, I'm going to be traveling every month, I think.
How much out of every month? You mean like a week out of every month?
Average, yeah, about a week.
Yeah.
I think things are starting to, like, just now to pick up, which I hope they're not going to slow down after this comes out. But for now, I'm just like, I was looking at my calendar and I was quite surprised as to how much I get to travel now. Not complaining, I love it.
What are some of the places that you're going to be going to in the next few months?
So February will be quite calm for me. I just might have a few gigs around the region of Paris. March, I will be traveling to Brittany. It's like the north of France.
Yeah.
Is it how you say it? Brittany?
Brittany, yeah.
Brittany, okay.
Thanks. I hope so.
And then, April, May, there will be a lot of preparations for some shows in Asia. Yeah. Which I had mentioned before the show. Yeah. So, is this my camera?
Sure.
Yeah. So you guys should keep an eye out for that. I'm not allowed to announce anything yet, but super excited for that.
And are you going to be releasing more music over the course of the year?
Yeah. I mean, part of the projects in May will involve releasing music and collaborating with other musicians, but I've also been in talks with different collaborators because sometimes it's nice to branch out. Yeah. And I've been so used to making music alone or with the same people, which is nice also because they've been there since the beginning. But I think it's always nice to explore.
Are you going to be experimenting with any different genres?
Never too far off from my sonic identity, but it's, different facets.
Yeah. How would you describe your music now? It's
my music now, if we had to put one label on it, would just be pop. Yeah, that's really broad, huh?
And I'm moving towards the last question. I'm just wondering, who are the people that you'd really like to perform with moving forward?
Wow. As in like famous musicians?
Or not? Yeah.
I haven't thought about that.
Yeah.
But recently, though, in China, I got to perform with a jazz band, and that was super nice because the first time I performed with musicians was with my middle and high school jazz band. Yeah. And it really threw me back because it had been so long since I had done that. It wasn't for singing, I was a pianist at the time. But yeah, that experience recently with that jazz band.
What type of jazz was it? What era?
We just transposed my songs into more jazz styles.
Oh, cool.
And I had so much fun, and it's something I want to do more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no dream gig? You don't have a dream gig or a dream collaborator that you'd like to work with?
For now, I don't. I'm really my way of working is just to really be grateful for everything that comes along. And then, no, I don't know. I just try to really improve my craft and then try to see each milestone as a sign that things are going well and that they will keep going well if I keep working hard. And
nice. Well, Irène, where can people find you when you do announce whatever this mystery gig is that you're doing that may or may not be happening, possibly in some Asian place or not, possibly later this year? Where are you going to be announcing it?
Everywhere online. You can find me at Irène Schrader. Probably you should probably write that somewhere because I think it's hard to spell for some people, but I'm mainly on Instagram, TikTok. If you want to hear my songs, it's on all streaming platforms. If you want to support me directly, I'm on Bandcamp.
All right, great.
Yeah.
Cool. Irène, thank you so much for the time that you spent, and
thank you
for hauling yourself onto a Eurostar train and walking from Central Station all the way over here in the cold, snowy Amsterdam. It's really lovely to have you. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks so much. Damn Yankee is an NL Times podcast. The show is created by me and Peach Rizzo. This episode was produced by Lara Bodger and Marcus Engel.